Some families have a favorite child. In mine, I was the disappointment. No matter what I did, it was never enough. If I made one mistake, everyone remembered it. If my siblings made 10 mistakes, everyone forgot. At every family dinner, the jokes were always about me. The slow one, the dumb one, the child who will never succeed. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile, but inside, those words hurt more than anyone knew. I wasn't lazy. I simply learned differently. I liked fixing broken things instead of memorizing books. I asked too many questions. I dreamed too big, but nobody saw that. Even my parents compared me to my older siblings. Look at them, they would say. Why can't you be like them? Year after year, I heard the same thing. Eventually, I stopped trying to prove them wrong. Instead, I decided to prove myself right. Quietly, without telling anyone, I began learning every night after everyone was asleep. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. And that was exactly how I wanted it. After finishing school, my parents made their opinion clear. If you stay here, you'll never survive. The words sounded cruel, but they pushed me to leave. I packed a small bag. No money, no plan, no support, only hope. Life outside was harder than I imagined. I worked long hours washing dishes, cleaning stores, and carrying heavy boxes. People saw an ordinary worker. But every night, I studied business, investing, and technology. I borrowed books from libraries. I watched free lessons online. I failed many times. Small business ideas collapsed. Money disappeared. Friends gave up. But every failure taught me something new. Whenever I wanted to quit, I remember my parents laughing. Instead of breaking me, their words became fuel. Years passed. Slowly, things began to change. One small idea turned into a successful company. Then another opportunity appeared. For the first time, success started knocking on my door. Everything. One afternoon, an elderly businessman visited the small office. Everyone thought he was just another customer. But he wasn't. He had been watching my work for months. He admired my honesty. He admired my determination. Most of all, he admired that I never gave up. He invited me to lunch. We talked for hours, not about money, about life, dreams, failure, second chances. Before leaving, he smiled. You remind me of my younger self. Months later, he unexpectedly retired. His lawyers contacted me. I couldn't believe what they said. He had left me ownership in one of his largest investment projects. Everyone thought it was impossible. Even I did. But after years of growth and expansion, the project became incredibly valuable. One morning, my accountant placed a document in front of me. Estimated value, $47 million. I stared at the number, not because of the money, but because I remembered every insult that had ever been thrown at me. News travels fast, especially when money is involved. Suddenly, relatives who ignored me started calling. Old friends wanted to reconnect. Even my parents invited me to dinner. I accepted. Not for revenge. For closure. The house looked exactly the same. The same walls. The same table. The same chairs. Only the people had changed. Nobody called me the dumb one. Instead, they asked about investments, businesses, luxury cars, success. My parents smiled proudly, as if they had always believed in me. But I remembered the truth. Every painful word. Every moment of doubt. Every lonely night. Dinner ended in silence. Then my father quietly asked, "Can you forgive us?" I looked into his eyes. For the first time, I saw regret, real regret. A week later, the entire family gathered again. This time, I brought a simple envelope. Everyone watched curiously. Inside was a check worth $47 million. Gasps filled the room. Some people couldn't believe their eyes. Others began crying. But then, I slowly turned the check around. It wasn't written to anyone. It wasn't meant to be cashed. It was only a printed reminder of what belief can create. I placed it in the center of the table. Then I said, this number didn't prove I was smarter than anyone. It proved that people should never decide another person's future. The room became completely silent. No one had anything to say. Because deep down, everyone knew they had judged me too quickly. I never became successful because people believed in me. I became successful because I refused to believe the limits they placed on me. Money changed my life, But it didn't change my heart. I built scholarships for children who struggled in school. I funded workshops for young dreamers who learned differently. I wanted them to know something I never heard growing up. You are not stupid. You simply haven't found where you shine. Years later, I visited my parents again. They were older now, softer. My mother hugged me tightly. My father apologized with tears in his eyes. I forgave them, not because they deserved it, but because carrying anger was heavier than carrying pain. As I walked away, I realized something important. The greatest victory was never the $47 million. It was becoming someone who stayed kind after being misunderstood. Because success isn't measured by the size of a check. It's measured by the size of your character. And sometimes, the people who are called the dumb one are simply the ones the world hasn't understood yet.
Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a new emotional story. Your support means more than words can say, and it helps us continue bringing these untold stories to life.